And from there to overseas, at Fox's Alert, Iraqi forces were told coming close to defeating ISIS in Mosul. U.S.-backed rebels in Syria are making progress, we're told, in the other ISIS stronghold of Raqqa. The Kurdish-led rebel alliance has pushed ISIS out of a number of neighborhoods there since that operation began nearly a month ago. And the city is surrounded. John Huddy has the latest from a Middle East bureau in Jerusalem. So, John, any prediction on when the battle will end and Raqqa will finally fall?
Well, Eric, it's a good question. There's no definitive time frame at this point, but if the battle to retake Mosul and Iraq is any indication, then the fight to retake Raqqa, ISIS's self-proclaimed capital in Syria, could take weeks, if not longer. That said, Syrian Democratic Forces, the U.S.-backed alliance of Syrian Arabs and Kurds, have liberated a number of villages and suburbs, as you were talking about, Eric, surrounding Raqqa, and are now closing in on the roughly 2,500 ISIS fighters that remain basically holed up in the city, taking that last stand. The U.S.-backed forces entered Raqqa to the south on Sunday and have basically already cut off ISIS's supply lines and escape routes to the west and to the north. Now, they suffered a bit of a setback over the weekend when ISIS launched a fairly effective counteroffensive in an eastern industrial section of Raqqa. But at this point, Eric, we're hearing that with the help of U.S. troops on the ground, those Kurdish and Syrian Arab forces have regained most of the ground at this point that they lost over the weekend, Eric.
Oh, that's good news if they can finally finish that. Meanwhile, there's that horrible suicide bombing in Damascus yesterday. What more do we know about that today?
Yeah. Well, the death toll, we talked about this last night, the death toll has now gone up to 20 people killed, several dozen others injured. This was pretty horrific because it came during the morning rush hour commute in central Damascus, but more so it was the first day back to work after Ramadan, so that it was particularly busy at this point in the day there, making it especially heinous. It happened in Damascus's Tahrir Square during, as I said, the rush hour yesterday. It was the first day back to work after Ramadan, and while no group has claimed responsibility, Eric, we know that ISIS and other jihadist militants have launched other attacks in Damascus, mostly northern part of the city, this back in March when dozens of people were killed in separate bombings. And of course, this comes as ceasefire talks are scheduled to start again later this week and aimed at ending Syria's long-running civil war. And then, of course, later this week, President Trump will be meeting with Russian President Vladimir Putin with basically focus on the fighting, the civil war, and the fight against ISIS in Syria. Eric?
Yeah, a horrible humanitarian situation that just continues. John Huddy in Jerusalem today. Thank you.